We will bring this meeting of Peterborough City Council to order for Monday, September 22nd, 2025. The first item of business is our land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that we're on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississauga, the Anishinaabe. We offer our gratitude for the First Peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth, our relations. May we honor those teachings. The next item of business is 30 seconds of silent reflection. I would ask those who are able to please stand and remove your caps for the singing of the national anthem. The Council of the City of Peterborough recognizes the principles contained in our Constitution and the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Does any member of Council have a declaration of pecuniary interest at this time? Declarations? No. Next item is delegations. Mr. Gavin Muir, come forward, please. Dealing with the June 30th, 2025 financial report on audit, report number FCSF S25-002. If we could have your name and address for the public record, and you'll have 5 minutes, sir, to make a presentation.
Thank you. My name is Gavin Muir. I am from Northcrest Ward. Tonight, I am here to speak to the portion of the financial report addressing enforcement strategy costs. I attended the General Committee meeting of September 15th, and I was somewhat shocked with what I heard. I was a bit shocked with the evasiveness of staff to answer a clear question that had been put to them by this council 3 months earlier. And I was more shocked at the response of the majority of this council to that evasiveness. A portion of the financial committee report, the financial report before council tonight purports to address a directive by council approved by motion on June 10th, requesting a comprehensive breakdown of all costs associated with the enforcement strategy to clear the city's parks and spaces of encampments the week of May 27th, including but not limited to staff time, temporary shelter at the Morrow Building, public works, bylaw enforcement, and any other related expenses. In response, what council received was barely half a page of information buried in an omnibus financial report. It has 2 short paragraphs of text, the bulk of which are reciting the motion that I just read to you, and 5 aggregated line items in a chart form. In the private sector, if anyone came back to their manager with that type of response to a clear directive to provide comprehensive details, there would be a reprimand and they'd be sent back to complete the task, if they were lucky. Councillor Burke's very reasonable motion to defer accepting that portion of the financial report pertaining to enforcement measures sought to give staff a chance to do that. But that's not what this council did when it voted that deferral down by 6-5. Not 2 weeks ago, Ann Farquharson delegated to this council on the issue of the new police headquarters $25 million cost overrun. She spoke about council's fiduciary duty to the taxpayers to investigate the substance of those additional costs and the recklessness of not seeking clarity on those costs. She also gave the opinion that this council was bankrupting the city. That very night, this council voted in favor of that additional $25 million without requiring those details. And here we are. This is not a $25 million expenditure, granted. It's equally fiscally irresponsible, however, and equally a breach of the fiduciary duty owed to the taxpayers of this city, to each and every one of them, not to know and understand the costs associated with these enforcement activities. It is made all the worse considering that council directed that the information be produced and is indifferent to the fact that it hasn't been. This is all the more pertinent considering the 90-day emergency shelter opened at the fire hall in Northcrest Ward, in my ward, in furtherance of these ongoing enforcement activities. Because I'm wondering what that's going to cost me, what that's going to cost my fellow taxpayers. This city is doubling down on this enforcement approach, which many consider, and I consider, inhumane, but that's not the point. We can't even get a basic picture of the cost for a single week of the enforcement process. The city's approach to dealing with the unhoused and marginalized in our community is almost exclusively enforcement approach, despite having other options available and having defunded and pulled away from some of those other options, including more long-term root cause solutions such as One City and perhaps others. We need a viable solution for our city's unhoused and marginalized people. That's beyond dispute. What's also beyond dispute is the approach taken by the city in recent years has been ineffective. That's from a taxpayer point of view. Our municipal taxes continue to increase. More police are being put on the streets and into risky and unsafe situations, and there's nothing to show for it in terms of results. More humane solutions might actually be more cost-effective and free up police to focus on standard enforcement tasks. It's fiscally irresponsible to accept the report as it stands for enforcement strategy costs. But let's talk a bit about what happened on the 15th and staff's explanation for not delivering more. It was a masterclass in evasions.
You have 1 minute, sir.
Thank you. Firstly, the information was not available. Then it was conceded it was available, but it was going to cost too much time and effort to obtain. That's an argument to futility. That's a classic evasion. Classic evasion number 2, insisting that that everything needed to be a minute-to-minute breakdown. That was never what was asked for, never what was expected. That is going to the absurd, an evasion to the absurd. Classic evasion. The CAO echoed much of this. Within a few minutes later, though, indicated that enforcement actions are well planned prior to execution, including procurement of workers and resources to be used. This contradicts the claim that the information simply isn't available. There's a list somewhere. It is available. It seems a problem of will, not way, and the majority of council seems all too eager to accept it to the detriment of the taxpayer. As taxpayers, we're entitled to know the cost and effectiveness of these enforcement strategies. It's council's fiduciary responsibility to ensure that we do. Respectfully, I request you defer acceptance of this report until staff have appropriately and fully answered council's directive from June 10th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muir. There could be some questions for you. Questions of Mr. Muir? Questions? Councillor Rial, please.
Through his worship to Mr. Muir, thank you very much for being here, Gavin. The world that I come from, and I don't know what your background is. I mean, I come from business background. So when you made the comment that the questions that were asked, and certainly on financial, that either the person would be terminated or sent back to find out what their job is. So can you elaborate on what you said as far as from the business community? Because I know what would happen. Every nickel, every dime that is spent in a corporation is listed because that's their bottom line, and that's what the accounting department does. So can you elaborate what you asked for?
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship. My background, I have a slightly varied background, but I am a businessman as well. And I'm required, if I'm going to keep that business open, I'm going to be required to keep all those dollars and cents accounted for. I need to know what money I have before I spend it. And I would think that before we undertake massive operations such as these enforcement activities, that normally you do a cost benefit analysis before you start that. I would expect that's what I would do as a business person, is I do a cost benefit analysis. Some of that benefit analysis obviously has to come afterwards, but the costs, going in, what it's going to cost you. And I guess my concern here from a business perspective is that we've gone from a week in May to a 90-day operation with multiple parts to it, and it seems to be growing. And if we can't actually account for that 1 week, then we have a problem because we've got 90 days, we've got more that's happening. Why can't we find those numbers? They're somewhere, and they're shouldn't be hard to find if we have to prepare lists prior to doing these operations. I think it's perfectly reasonable to expect that they should be available and made available and seen by the public, and certainly seen by council who has to make decisions on this.
Any further questions for Mr. Muir? Councillor Baldwin, please.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. And perhaps my eyes were playing tricks on me, Your Worship. And I'll ask Mr. Muir the same thing. I thought it was reported in the Peterborough Examiner the cost of 1 week of the enforcement at the fire station, somewhere in the neighborhood of $7,825. I believe I saw. I'm wondering if you saw the same article, Mr. Muir.
I have not seen that article, and I'd be very interested in the numbers, and I would also be interested in how detailed those numbers are.
Yeah, again, I'm just going by recollection, what I thought I saw, Your Worship, so don't quote me on that, but I believe that figure's been bandied about, so I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Leo, through you to Mr. Muir. Thank you. Not really a question, but a comment to the last question of you about the cost of the Carnegie shelter approach. We did discuss that at the last council meeting. It's in the financial report here, that cost, but that would just be my assumption of reading the line item is that would just be the cost for the temporary shelter portion, not the enforcement side. And I think Mr. Freeman said that cost was between $75,000 and $80,000. There's the DC legal fees that are $50,000, and the rest of the $125,000 would represent the Carnegie cost. So around $80,000. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no other registered delegations this evening. We'll next go to consent items. Does anybody want to speak about 9A? 9A? 9B? 9B? 9C? C? 9D? 9E? E? 9F? 9G? 9H? 9I? 9J? Then I'd ask somebody to move 9A, B, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Councillor Duguay, Councillor Purnell. Comments or questions? We'll go to a vote. Yes.
Your Worship, are we going to pull 10? Can I request to pull 10A from the list?
No, it's not on the council agenda. Not on consent, sorry, not on consent. My mistake.
Thank you.
Okay, just moved by Councillor Duguay, Councillor Purnell. We'll go to a vote. That is carried. 9C. Councillor Burke. We got to get somebody to move it in a second or get it on the debate.
I'll move it, yeah.
Okay. Councillor Jiggett, thank you. Okay, please proceed.
Thank you, Mayor Leo. Through you, I think the question will end up going to Mr. Freeman. I didn't get a chance to get to it at the last council meeting. There's a lot that's in this report, but I want to ask a question about a line item. There was a new project created under delegated authority by the treasurer on June 13th, 2025, and it was called Doris and Sutherland Meeting Room Upgrade. The project was funded by a transfer of $17,000 from the Service Peterborough project to this new project. The report explains that this transfer was to complete additional work identified during a review of the space beyond the initial scope. As someone who uses these rooms regularly, you know, we used the Sutherland room last week. We meet there for our closed session before the meetings, and I also use the Doris room quite regularly, probably once a week. The only visible changes that appear to me from these upgrades have been a fresh coat of paint, and the old curtains in the Sutherland room have been replaced with blinds. The tables and chairs remain the same, and I know this because in the Sutherland room, there's a couple chairs that have no casters that no one wants to sit in. There's a couple chairs that are quite a lot much lower than the rest of the chairs, and those chairs were there last week. So the other thing is there's no updated technology. There's no key fob access to the Sutherland room, and I know this because we have to use that room. So my question is, given this, can staff provide a breakdown of just exactly what the $17,000 was spent on for the Doris and Sutherland room upgrade project?
Mr. Freeman, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor, I don't believe all the updates have actually happened yet because I think furniture is on the list. So to your point, the chairs and are going to be, I believe, all replaced. Happy to provide council with an update. I don't have those details in front of me, but I can certainly return with an email and give council a list of all the upgrades.
Thank you.
Does that suffice, Councillor Burke?
Yes, Your Worship. Thank you.
Okay. Just want to. Any further comments or questions? It's been moved and seconded. We'll go to a vote. And that is carried. Where do we go next? Bylaws.
The item here, this one here is not recommended.
Councillor Burke, you want to speak to 10A, though it's not recommended? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Leo, through you. I'll just remind everyone, and I don't know if I have to do this because it's a very short night tonight, but I'll remind everyone again. On June 10th, we gave explicit direction for staff to return to council within 90 days with a quote, comprehensive breakdown of all costs associated with the enforcement strategy, end quote. That is 10A. Oh, sorry.
No, 10A is dealing with the sale of excess lands, not the cost associated with the renovation project of the two sites. Councillor Burke.
Oh, excuse me then. Where would I find the lost motion then? The lost deferral motion?
That was the last motion that came out of General Committee of last week. Mr. Clerk, can you assist us here?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, 10A as it's listed here was not recommended by General Committee last week, and then it's listed as not recommended this evening. Thank you.
Councillor Burke, do you need any additional clarity?
No, I was incorrect about 10A, but I'm
Yep.
just wondering where the opportunity is to bring back the lost deferral motion
Clerk, that was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
last week.
Thanks, Your Worship. I'm just seeking a bit of clarity on specifically which deferral motion that was. It was lost. Okay. Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, if it is in reference to 9C, which is the quarterly financial report that council just dealt with, there was a lost deferral motion on that. However, then the majority of members did support the recommendations that were in the report this evening, and that was just dealt with. Thank you.
Suffice, Councillor Burke? Okay. We'll now go to bylaws. This, bylaw 12A to 12I. 20. Sorry? Bylaw 25-105 to 25-114. So I'd like to move it. Councillor Hagee, Councillor Vasiliadis, comments or questions? We'll go to a vote. That is carried. Other business? Councillor Duguay, please.
Thank you, Mayor Leal. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Councillor Parnell for her leadership in organizing the 5th annual tree planting event. 100 trees planted in about 2.5 hours, 500 trees. It was done so quickly, I forgot the number. But was particularly encouraging, though, was the response from the neighborhood. Young and old attended. It's a very important event, being our 5th annual. So this, I think, represents our in total 2,500 trees plus some large caliper trees. I'd also like, Your Worship, I think it's very important to acknowledge there are certain staff that were there that day that are instrumental in making this event possible. And starting off with Leanne, Dan, and Zoe, the 3 were extremely courteous, very helpful, very knowledgeable. Also, it's important that we thank all of our event sponsors. But frankly, the event would never have been possible if it wasn't for Councillors Parnell initiating this 5 years ago. So my gratitude and thanks, and to the entire community. It was a great day and an important day. So thank you, Councillor Parnell.
Thank you very much, Councillor Duguay. Anyone got any other business? No. Next item, confirmation bylaw 25115. Councillor Crowley's moving it. Councillor Vasiliadis. We'll go to a vote. That is carried. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Hagee, Councillor Vasiliadis. We'll go to a vote. That's carried. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, staff. Thank you, audience. Have a good evening.